Okay, hi, welcome everyone. So the first thing I want to talk about in preparation for what I call the dance step experiment, you will need to download one of these software, applications called Joy2Key. So what Joy2Key does is it helps you to turn any controller into a keyboard input as well. So if you're using the dance mat, so one of the most important things is to be able to map out the positions up, down, left, right, just like a controller onto some of these keys in here, which can then be recognized by E prime. So you go to download, and here, of course, it's a freeware software, and you sort of install it. And once you've done so, it will come up with a number of different options to be able to map the key that you want on the dance mat to something that can be recognized in E prime. I'm not going to go into too much details. This is really quite intuitive and it's quite simple to be able to do so. But I will talk about the interface in E prime and what you need to do as well. So once you've downloaded this, and go ahead, and I'm just going to show what's going to happen with the E prime software itself. Okay, and what's going on in it. So I'm going to close all the windows for now because it's really not so important. But this was programmed in E prime 2. 0.0, and E prime 2 is not really um, supported anymore by PST, which is the psychological software tools, the company that made this software. They do have E prime 3, which Gianna, you would know that it's already installed inside of your computers there, and you need a license to run it as well. So the file that I'm talking about is we're going to go ahead and open it up here. And if you're in E prime 3, the first question after you open the file, right? So it's called stepping task ID, sequence ID 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever that is. It's just different iterations of the same sequence. It'll ask you to, it'll prompt you to upgrade it. And as far as I understand, I've done this on a number of previous other scripts as well. Upgrading it is not a problem. So if you click on the file where we've put it, you click open, it'll say, right, this is done on an older version of E prime. Do you want to upgrade it to E prime 3? You can go ahead and do it, and it should not break the script. It should still be able to run as it is. So this first part of it, of this video, I'm going to break it up into two parts. It's really just to explain how the experiment itself runs. You have in E prime a number of different things here, and the script is already loaded. Once you click open, it's in here, and if you click on right click and you click on spider down, you can see all the elements in it. It's quite smart the way this is done, but the point of it now is not to explain how each of these little components of the script speak to each other. Right, we're just going to go ahead and run it. So up here on a tab, even in the prime 3, you will see a similar sort of layout. So I can ping where I'm sort of highlighting right now, and you click on run. So what happens is when you click on run is that it will generate a full script of it, and it will make this script in the area where the original file is. So that's a run only script, which means that if you have multiple computers, you can also run that on multiple computers once you have a fixed script, you see, without needing a license to them. You don't need that soft dongle to run it. You can just install a participant only computer to be able to do this. So if you click on this, what will happen is it will start to generate all the components of there, which I will speak about. And oh, okay, so wow, that popped it on the other screen. I'm going to see if I can in OBS capture what's happening on the other screen as well. Just give me a sec. This is a bit of on the fly kind of thing, so I didn't anticipate that it will be put onto the second screen in here. And I'm just going to quickly add a window capture of it. sorry, not this. Yeah, display capture. I'm gonna add display to. Okay, and yeah, there we go. So you can see what's going on. You can still hear my voice. What's happening, and that's currently being recorded for you guys as well, right? So you just won't be able to see my face for now. So that's okay. So in this screen here, it asks you what you want to do with the participant, right? It says enter the subject number, and what we're going to do is show you that we can just click 0, how the experiment runs, right? So we're not going to do any data logging. Actually, you can do some data logging. Let's put subject 1 and then session. So just to iterate, this session is actually the blocks in which you're going to practice. So if let's say you're going to give people about 3 training blocks or 4 training blocks, it's up to you and how you want to design it. In my experiments, I give people at least 6 training blocks, and each of the training blocks have 48 trials, 48 executions of the full sequence. All right, so 48 attempts in which they can do the dance steps. All right, so we can say this is the first block in which participants are actually practicing, and we're going to click OK, and this is going to record it and index it in the file that this was subject 1 and actually so-called block 1, which is the session, right? If you want to continue with the above style information, say yes, and then let's see, there we go. Okay, this is funny. All right. So I don't know why we're seeing a picture-in-picture right now. So it says I'm here. You can see on the top left corner some instructions. It says stand with both your feet in the middle of the circle. I know why. Sorry, because it was displayed as a certain resolution, the way it's drawn. But you can see now at the top. So you can change the resolution of this in the script itself as well. But we use a certain resolution so that the screen stays fixed for a certain monitor. All right. So the instruction is stand with both your feet. Just focus on the top left corner right now. You can see stand with both your feet in the middle of the circle of the dance pad. If there are no more questions, you can start the experiment by tapping on the X panel with the P. Now X on the dance pad itself is on the top left hand corner as well, and X itself is actually spacebar. So because of joy the key, you're able to map out X as a spacebar, as a button that you can press. So we press spacebar, it begins the trial. You can see that there's a box there. It moves in a certain fashion, right? First, the participants see it, and then you saw a red dot over there. It means not to go. So they're not allowed to go for that trial. And now you see a series of bumps coming up again, and there's a blue flash on the cross in the middle, which means that they should go. Now I'm gonna randomly key in. Imagine that someone is using their foot, and they're actually moving and dancing on the dance pad itself, right? And they're supposed to go after trying to look at after trying to look at the stimuli, and then encode it within their mind, and then reproduce it with their feet as well. So it takes a bit of learning. Now it's really not intuitive, and it's only a 6-key sequence, and I'm randomly keying in stuff right now just to progress, right? But let's say if I try and remember this, right? And I'm gonna type this in now. Okay, so I got a couple of them correct. First 3 I got correct, and the next couple I got it wrong. It tells us the feedback of which one of them you got wrong as well. This is also a Go trial. I think it's like this, and I made 4 correct. So I had the last 4 correct and the first 4 incorrect. First 2 incorrect, right? I'm gonna try it again. Key 1, key 2, key 5 was wrong. Okay, and let's say if okay, so I know this one, and if you make a correct trial, it says good, right? So if you were able to execute it, imagine with your feet, you're dancing now, and you're going like this, that would register as good, you see. But now what I'm doing is I'm just keying on the keyboard to show you what happens in different phases of the experiment and how it runs, right? So you can make a relation on later on when I explain in the second video on the key elements on what you need to pay attention to manipulate the script itself, okay? So once again, and then when I went ahead of the blue, it will tell me. I randomly pressed that to be honest. When I went ahead of the blue, there was a too early key, and that means I made a mistake in there in such a way that it will prompt me and tell me I made a mistake before it gives me another chance as well whether to go or not to go. So this is what we consider as the go no go version of the dance step task, you see. Of course, if you see some of the games, there is a way to program it in such a way that it's simultaneous. So okay, I went too early again. Simultaneous, and that it goes as you can go as the key lights up as well, right? You can put a response and input in there as well. I have another script that does that, but that is way more complex in terms of what you want to do with this, okay? So I think that this is a much easier way if you want to program an experiment. And of course, it starts with, this one is a 6-key press. Later on in the second video, I'm going to show you how you may want to extend it to 8 key presses or 12 key items as well. So that's a go, and that's good. I made a good trial. And you can also program how many attempts there are within the block. So if you think that 48 is too many, then you can cut it down to 12. You can cut it down to any arbitrary number that you think that that would facilitate it. Now, what's the point of having a go or no go in there, right? Where it flashes blue or it flashes red, right? It's sort of like an attentional check, right? It's sort of prompting people to pay attention and understand whether they need to go for the trial or not, right? Sometimes some of these, like the way you're capturing data, could be quite boring, and if it's continuous, people might be having sort of slipping away in terms of the attention, and that go or no go task allows them to pay attention to that sort of prior period. And you can see in my task that I'm quite interested in sort of periods before the goal on what the body is doing as well. You don't need this in your experiment, but for me, it's programmed in this manner. And how much do we put as a percentage of the go, no go, right? We set it at 8%, roughly 8%. So in a trial of 48, you need 4 trials to have that's a no-go right there, red, and then we flash another one. So there is a counter that's going on in the background, and I'm going to explain to you in the second video how this works. This is too early as well. Sorry, see, anticipatory processes, and now it tells me to go and go. Good. So this is ongoing, as I said, and what I find is that too early again. I've been pressing on there. But what I've been finding is that there are really nice ways in which you can see like even response time changes from the first 3 blocks already. You can see that people learn the sequence, even though it looks very random at the moment, within the first 3 blocks, and that they can really showcase some amazing changes in their body and footwork as well, and optimization. So that's what you can really observe from such an experiment. And you can also capture some video as well. In my work, I use a sort of body sensors called Xsense, and they can 3D map. If you finish half the block, it tells you what your average reaction time is and how much percent of mistakes you make. And this is 24 trials done for 2 sequences, right? And then the second half of the block is going to be another 24 trials of the same 2 sequences, and then you go for the end of the block. So 48 is completion. As I said, what is reasonable for people to learn sequences is approximately about 6 blocks to get them to really fast, accurate, and smooth response times performance as well. Okay, so I'm gonna quit this now and end this video. This is just part 1, and then we're gonna go into the nuts and bolts of the experiment itself and show you what is involved and what are the key things that you should look out for when you're programming it.